Good evening, ladies. Thank you, Julie, for the kind introduction, and thank you all for being here. I'm really overwhelmed to see so many kind faces here tonight. Julie just said we're not going to have the typical talk we have here at the WBII networking events, and that is true. Tonight, you're not going to go home with a lot of practical tips in your heads on how to improve your business in one way or the other. However, I am confident that you are going to take something really valuable away from tonight. I address you tonight as role models to society. You are all professional, active women who take responsibility, and believe it or not, your environment looks up to you as role models. It is my ambition tonight to inspire you and to put some new, good thoughts into your heads. Let's rock the world of fashion. This talk is about us in our quality of fashion consumers. It is about the fashion industry and most importantly about some rocking. Yeah. But first of all, no, what is left and right? Let me introduce myself. Yes. This is me. This is my quick smiling self-portrait. I am German. I'm married to a Spaniard. Together we have 4 wonderful children. My favorite language, however, is French, and I live in the Netherlands for almost 4 years now. I am and have always been a very passionate person, aiming to make a difference with my daily work, and it is my ambition to make the world a better and fairer place. Out of this motivation, I have studied environmental science and marine chemistry in Germany and France. I have worked for more than 10 years for an organization of importers and exporters of agricultural products. I love languages and connecting people, and this year I have made a fresh start, and I have started my own consultancy for sustainable lifestyle. But now let's get started. I told you I have a background in science, and even though I don't work in science anymore, I still love to present research results. So for you tonight, I carried out a little research study. I call it the little research study in my wardrobe. And now I need my notes. So what I did, this is very simple, basic science. I just opened the doors and did some counting. I counted all the items I could find there. And that's what I found. In my wardrobe, I have 31 tops, blouses, t-shirts, long sleeves, 10 dresses, 23 cardigans. I definitely have something on cardigans. This is embarrassing. 5 sweaters, I like those less. 12 pairs of trousers, 7 skirts, and 7 coats and jackets. Wow. I must admit, I didn't expect these numbers to be so high. And when I came to the drawer with the underwear and the socks, I stopped the counting. And I do have 13 pairs of shoes. Oh, wow. So when all this was noted here on my little notebook, I felt like, oh, that was such a bad idea. No way I'm going to start my talk like that. They're so going to lose respect. But then I thought, maybe some of the ladies tonight fear they have a similar situation in their wardrobe. And I interviewed some friends, and I felt that my wardrobe is more or less like average. So I hope some of you also recognize the situation. And just for all of us, I don't want to show off here and say, hey, I have so many clothes. This is about something else. And for us to really appreciate and understand the significance of these numbers, I've played a bit around with them and made as many combinations as possible. With the clothes present in my wardrobe, I can compose 29 different outfits. They might not all match, but this is almost 1 month of different outfits. And that seems crazy. I'm just one person, and I do have a washing machine. And this craziness leads me to my next question. Why? Why do I have so many clothes? And a step back, why do we buy clothes? And there are, of course, many different reasons to buy clothes, and I like to divide them in 2 categories, and I call the first one the basic needs. So the most basic of the basic needs, can you guess it? It's an apple. It's like when Eve ate that apple and so she was naked. Since then, we don't want to be naked anymore. And actually, I would not like to stand here in front of you without this dress. This is an excellent reason for me to buy clothes. It is, right? Another one is the weather. We need to protect our bodies from the cold, from the rain, and living here in the Netherlands with its temperate maritime climate, you need quite some outfits to always keep yourself warm and dry. And the third one is a bit different, and you may even discuss if you find it all that basic, but it definitely is to me, and that is the need to fit in. I would not like to stand here in front of you in my pajamas or go to an important business meeting in my running outfit or the other way around. So different situations require different outfits, and that is a good reason for me too. But if I am honest, and probably many of you too, we got this pretty much covered with what we own already. Why do we still buy more? And then we come to a different set of reasons, and they're less basic than keeping our bodies warm and dry. They are more of an emotional quality. And the first is the fashion industry. The industry constantly triggers us to want more and new things. And if this season's color is Riverside Blue, we feel we need to have a top in Riverside Blue, even though we might already own 2 or 3 blue tops. Another one is, it just feels good buying yourself something. It's like a little hug, like life can be so hard. It's this little treat, we deserve it, we're working so hard. And more generally, we express who we are and how we want the world to see us with the outfits we wear. And I think we all know that. We all have these outfits that make us feel beautiful and strong and self-secure. So our outfit is part of our showcase to the world and the image we want them to see. But enough for now about us. We're going to come back to this later. Let's have a look at them, the fashion industry. And the first thing that pops up in our minds when we think about the fashion industry is probably glamour, brands, beautiful people with their perfect bodies wearing the latest fashion trends. But actually fashion also is a massive industry. Every year people around the world spend $1 trillion US in clothing. That is a 1 with 12 zeros. I know nobody can imagine that, but it's just so impressive. It's a lot of money. The fashion giants like H&M or Inditex or Nike generate profits between 2 and 3 billion US dollars every year each. And these figures seem to be still growing. But not only there's a lot of money in the industry, there are also a lot of people. The Clean Clothes campaign estimates that between 60 and 75 million people work globally in the fashion industry. And just think about it, this would be the whole population of a country of the size of the UK or France. This is a lot of people. And the industry has changed a lot in the past 20 to 30 years. It has become a lot bigger. It has become a lot faster. If we had 4 collections in the 80s, we have 52 collections today. H&M receives new stuff every day. And it has become totally globalized. Today, 75% of the world textile production is carried out in the 4 main producing countries, China, Turkey, India, and Bangladesh. Whereas the consumers are in the Western world, in North America and Europe. So in summary, you can say fashion is glamour and big business. The industry generates a lot of profit and gives work to a lot of people around the world. Now that is beautiful, and that is a successful industry. Unfortunately, this beauty also comes at a price. And we're going to have a quick look at that now. So the downside. I chose 4 aspects which I consider very important, and I will just start from the beginning. The first one is cotton. Cotton is the most broadly used textile fiber. It has many good properties. It is a natural fiber. It is soft at touch. It can be worked in many different ways, and that makes it so popular. The cotton plant, however, is a very demanding plant, consuming a lot of water. To produce enough cotton for 1 cotton t-shirt, you need 2,500 liters of water. Now you must know that most of the cotton worldwide is produced in regions where it does not rain enough for this culture, so it has to be irrigated, drying out all the environments around it. But cotton is also called a dirty crop, and that is because a lot of insecticides are applied on cotton fields around the world. Hazardous chemicals are not only a problem during the fiber production. Actually, chemicals are used during the whole production process of textiles. They are used for many different reasons, to dye or to bleach, or to give the garments specific properties like anti-wrinkle, which we like a lot because then we don't have to iron so much, or waterproof, which is also really handy to have. These chemicals are hazardous for the environment, but also for the people working in the production chain, and eventually even for us wearing these clothes on our skin. Essential point, and that's why the picture is bigger and I put it in the middle, are the people. We have seen earlier that a lot of people work in the textile industry. Textile is one of the most labor-intensive industries. Clothes are actually made by people and not machines. And that sounds stupid, but it's really important to know that. 3/4 of the textile workers worldwide are women, and many of them have to carry out their work under unworthy and unsafe conditions. I will just give you one example. In Bangladesh, which is one of the cheap production countries, many textile workers are forced to work 14 to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, for a salary of about 30 euros a month, and that is far below a living wage even in Bangladesh. Accidents and fires in the factories, sexual harassment and child labor are still the daily routine of too many people working in the industry. And eventually, the industry also produces a lot of waste. Alone in the Netherlands, every person living in this country throws away the equivalent of 8 kilos of textiles every year. And I know that is difficult to imagine, but that would be like 9 pairs of adult jeans or 40 t-shirts. That's a lot. And that is only what consumers throw away. That is not even the amount of waste that is produced directly by the industry without ever going to consumer because the dye was wrong or whatever. So that is depressing. And I have a question for you. I was wondering, has any of you heard all these things for the first time? And I don't mean the numbers I gave you, but the idea that the fashion industry is unfair or polluting. Is that completely new to anybody here? No. That's what I imagined. And that leads us to the next question, and that is really the core of this talk. And this is the question that keeps me awake at night. How is that possible? How can we comfort ourselves and express our personalities with the clothes we wear, knowing how they are made? This is so difficult to understand, and for me it is even more difficult to accept. During a long time, social scientists believed that if only people had enough information, they would behave accordingly. And that is called the knowledge deficit model. But if we are honest, we do know. And if we want to know more, we also know that all this information is just a few clicks away. If you type in at Google working conditions or environmental pollution in the fashion industry, you get so many hits, you can't even read them in 1 week. And I know it because I've done it. The problem is not that we're lacking information. The problem is we're not using it. And that is because we know these things on a rational level. But that's not how we make our consumer choices. Our consumer choices are made on a completely different level, on a more emotional and intuitive level. And I would like at this point to share some insights in human nature with you. It is part of our human nature to privilege experience over analysis. Has anybody ever been to Bangladesh? Or has anybody visited a textile factory? No, I haven't either. So we don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it smells like. We don't know how these people feel after sitting 16 hours at a sewing machine. We can't even imagine that. And that makes it so easy for us to just push these thoughts away when we're in the shop buying something new for us. Also, it is part of our nature to prioritize our own interest over another bigger, more altruistic goal. And again, we're not directly suffering the consequences of the industry. Other people do, and they're far away. And again, that makes it very easy to not think about it. And the third aspect is we are social beings, responding to group norms and imitating the behavior of others. If everybody does it, how could I and why should I behave differently? And don't get me wrong, there is no judgment in this. This is the human nature that has always also helped us to survive throughout evolution. It's just important to know these things. So in summary, you could say the problem is too big and too far away. That makes us feel powerless and we feel that we can't make a difference. And I have that too. And I'm not here tonight to tell you it's all easy, but there are some things that you can do. And the first is, if your wardrobe is anything like mine, one thing that you can do when you feel you need something new, you can first have a look there. Maybe it's already in there. This is a bit Anne's shop in your own wardrobe concept. You can also ask yourself questions when you go shopping. Does that really look good on me? Will I like it at home? Do I have the same? Does it match with my other things? And how many times am I going to wear that? And I can tell you these questions are extremely painful when you just fell in love with this new dress. But on the other hand, they can also help you and they prevent you from buying stuff impulsively that won't make you happy once you're at home. And you can, of course, buy secondhand. But to be honest, even though these three are really good advice, especially when you're concerned about the environment, they don't really make a difference in a positive way for the people working in the industry. Because if we stop consuming and they lose their bad jobs, they don't get a good one instead. And that makes it also complicated. If you are really interested in the performance of your favorite brand, it's always a good idea to check the website of Rank a Brand. Rank a Brand is an NGO publishing sustainability rankings on different criteria. I can really recommend them because they are very transparent. You can see all the questions and the answers, and they only work with information that is publicly available. And that can help you to make sustainable or more informed consumer choices. And of course, you can directly shop at sustainable brands that are truly committed to very high social and environmental standards. But then again, most of these brands are still quite small. They operate in some kind of a niche market. Sometimes they're difficult to find, and you might not always find things that you like. So my personal conclusion is that even though you can do little things, this seems little compared to the dimension of the problems we've seen earlier. So it is true, the problem is too big for any of us to solve alone. Because what we need is a transition of the whole system, and that nobody in this room can realize on her own. But the good news is we are not alone. And I think what we really need to do, we need to start a new conversation. If we are serious about wanting a transition towards a fairer and greener fashion industry, in my opinion, the first thing we need to do is talk about it. This is not a topic we can leave to some experts in their offices and laboratories and universities. This is a topic for the street. This is about all of us. This is about the world we want to live in. And I think everybody should have their say, with all kinds of backgrounds. We need the most creative heads and all kinds of opinions. And even though this might sound now very complicated and even confusing, because I just said what's good for the environment is not necessarily for the people working in the industry, to me 3 things are already totally clear. And one is, we need to move away from our linear economic model where we use raw materials, produce things, use things and throw them away. We need to close these loops. We need to think about how we're going to use all the components of a product already when we're designing the product. So we need a circular economic model. Being humans, we must aim at a world where everybody is entitled to enjoy all his or her human rights, including a living wage. So here you can just see the aspects of life that need to be covered by a living wage. And the third one is we really need to reconsider our consumer society and our consumer behavior. Because now we've seen a lot of the negative impact that has on people far away and on the environment. But personally, I think our consumer society is not even making us in the rich part of the world happy. So there is really, if we want to change the system, this is also part of that. These are my ideas. I'm really looking forward to start this new conversation with you tonight and to hear your ideas. Thank you very much for your attention. And one last thing, if you liked any of this talk, please feel invited to endorse some of my skills on LinkedIn. I have rearranged them in a way so the ones that I think apply to tonight are on the top to make this really easy for you. Thank you.